All right, I just want to take some time to talk about purpose, fulfillment, and desires. And this might not be one of those long podcasts. I just want to quickly put this point across that the earlier we surrender our desires and begin to focus our attention on what God desires of us, we'll begin to see a lot of our desires manifest. I think it's very important to share this on the podcast today. I was going for a walk early this morning, and this is what dropped on my mind. That once you let go of your desires and start focusing on what your Creator desires of you, you would realize that those things that you ruggedly focused on will begin to manifest. And you probably wouldn't be able to articulate how or why they are manifesting. A lot of times, especially in the world we live in today, there are a lot of strategies, techniques, approaches to things, and I see people trying to be something. And so they are either on a program or undergoing a course or, having a strategy, going through a number of steps to do something. But in the end, what you realize is that they become something, but they become a less articulate expression of that thing. It's not real. It's subpar. It reminds me of the Bible where you have the Exodus story where God sent Moses to deliver the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. And God had empowered Moses and Aaron with things they could do to prove that they had God's backing. And so God had shown Moses what his rod could do. So when they got to Egypt, one of the first things they did to show that they had spiritual backing from God was throwing the rod on the floor, and the rod turned to a snake. And the Egyptian magicians and sorcerers then were like, oh, we've learned that too. We were trained how to do this thing too. We've learned this. We know how to do this. And so they threw their their rods on the floor too, and it became snake. But they had to learn it. I want to have you know that magicians and sorcerers of way back then, those days, it took half your life to learn how to do that sorcery. So it took blood, sweat, and tears for them to learn to do that. But interestingly, what happened was that the rod of Moses and Aaron, I can't remember whose rod it was at this time, but it doesn't really matter. It was the rod of God. The rod of God consumed the rod of the sorcerers. The snake, their snake consumed the snake of the sorcerers, the Egyptian sorcerers. So the Egyptian sorcerers had learned something, but in the end, when it was time to express, it was a weak expression of that thing. What I'm trying to say is a lot of times when we have desires and we have ambitions to get something, and we have to go through sweat, blood, and tears, we'll get that thing, a manifestation of that thing. But in the real application of that thing in life, what we'll realize is that it will be a weak manifestation. I watched a video recently on Instagram. It was pretty interesting. It's a video of two heavily built men wearing gym clothes, wearing tights, spandex, and they were heavily built, incredibly big chests, six-pack, biceps bulging. But then right in front of them was a barrel full of cement. Cement, like about 12 to 15 bags of cement in that barrel. And each of them tried to lift this barrel off the ground, to wheel it in front of them a particular distance. And none of them None of these two men could even lift this barrel. They kept on tipping it to the side. These were men that were heavily built. They have spent time in the gym, a desire to have a strong physique, to look strong and to be masculine. They couldn't lift the barrel of cement bags. They had gone through blood, sweat, and tears, dedication to a gym. But when the application came in life, it was a poor expression of strength. But then there was this man who was wearing a t-shirt, not really an impressive build, skinny looking compared to these other guys. Skinny looking, normal, average looking man. Came to this barrel, lifted it, and pushed it. This was what these other men couldn't do through a life of dedication to getting their desire. But here was this man who did it not by gymming. He probably got to do this through the focus of work, knowing that he had to do that day's work that day. He didn't want to be a muscle man. He was just a man that wanted to get the work done. And by that, he became a strong man. The same applies to us. A lot of us have rugged, ambitious desires. You want to be this, we want to be this, I want to achieve this. You give up a lot in your life. A lot of your sleep giving up. A lot of your energy giving up. A lot of your relationships giving up. And then you get this thing. And it's not all you desired. It's not the way you desired. It seems like a weak expression of what you actually desired. Because the real expression comes by putting aside what we desire to check the work that the master has for us. Just like this man that could lift the barrel. Obviously, he was a construction worker. His mind was, what does the foreman have for me to do today? Carry 12 bags of cement? We need to do that. By focusing on what the foreman desires of him that will earn him his pay, he was able to do something that people desire to do by gymming, which they couldn't now do. When I think of my life, I see a lot of things that I've desired, that I've manifested, not by having a training regime or regiment, or by dedicating myself to a program. I see that they've come by focusing on God. I see a lot of people ask me, Tola, what book do you read? TA, let me see your library. Let me see how you do this. A lot of people don't understand that my library makes for less than 10% of the knowledge I share. A lot of the knowledge I share comes by waking up in the morning asking God, what do you want to say to me? What do you want to teach me today? We must understand that when we seek God, those things we struggle to get will be added to us. That's what the Bible says. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added. All other things shall be added. The burden of desire is a destination-based burden. And what happens with destination-based burden is they make us very impatient. When you have a desire, what you are thinking of is how the end product would be. The burden of surrender is a process-based burden. They are both burdens, I'll have you know. But one makes you live in the now, gleaning of everything you can get. One makes you live in the future, which is out of your control, hoping that things happen the way you want. We must surrender to God. to see those things that we desire manifest without a conscious effort or a toiling for it. I can think of different instances in my life where this has happened. I remember there was a time pretty recently, I was putting on a lot of weight. A lot of weight. I was putting on weight and it was concerning. I didn't want to be putting on that much weight. I didn't want to be. And so I would look at myself in the mirror. I won't like what I see. And I was like, what's going on? I want to lose this weight. So I got on a desire to be a particular weight, a particular size, a particular shape. So I started to look for exercises and trainings and programs and diets. None of them lasted up to a month. At best, a month. But what I realized is that even while trying to do some of these things, I stay away from this, cut out this, do this, consciously trying to do things. I realized I started to gain even more weight. And even when I lost, it went to a different area of my body. It was frustrating. Started to lose even more. Recently, I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I've shared quite a lot. And I ask myself, what did I do? I can't point to anything. But I realized I've been very occupied with this work I'm doing, with teaching, mentoring, doing this podcast. I've been very occupied with it. In being occupied with it, it has shaped my life in such a way that is healthier than what I used to do before. And I realized I'm getting to the body size that I've desired. Not by effort, but by focus on the work of God. Not by effort. I've shared this story a number of times on the podcast where I talk about how I got to meet my wife. You understand? I remember coming out of university, desiring to have a girlfriend, to be in a relationship. I was desirous of it. I wanted it so bad. So I went out looking for one. Pay so much attention, my dressing, my this, my that. I speak, just trying to package myself. I found somebody, but it was not the expression I wanted. The relationship was far from the expression I wanted. I had a girlfriend, but it wasn't giving me the satisfaction, the peace, the love, the confidence, the companionship that I desired. After all the work done, it was still a poor expression of my desires. I remember when that relationship ended, I told God, you know what? I'm pegging this desire to have a girlfriend. What do you want me to do? Because I'd left school by then. What do you want me to do with my time? What do you desire for me to do with my time? Because I don't have a job. My name has been skipped from NYSC. What do you desire for me to do? God told me, get more involved in church. See, God can tell you different things in different ways. And when I say God told me get more involved in church, it's not like an angel came to my room. A friend came to my house in the midst of my thought and just said, Tola, what are you doing right now? Let's go to church together. And I thought, what am I doing? I might as well go. And that started my activity in church. Got more active. I joined the Baptist Student Fellowship in church. I became one of their leaders. I joined the youth fellowship in church. I started going for house fellowship. I had nothing else to do with my time. This was God's leading. And by being more involved, I remember one particular youth week, sat down, my wife sat down beside me, my future wife, not trying to look for her, but asking God, what would you have me do with my time now? And that relationship I desired in the correct expression came to me. I'm so grateful for my wife right now. My wife is perfect for me. Perfect. Not by toiling, but by surrender. I remember when I used to have a lot of acne, so much acne. It was killing my confidence. So I started to focus on it. I wanted to go. I bought products and products, wash my face in the morning, wash my face at night, use different types of things on my face to make it less oily, astringent. Just using different regimens in the morning. Do this, use this soap, do this. Don't use your normal soap to wash your face. How people will tell you. Use a special soap for your face, a special face soap for your body. Don't use this, don't use that. Wash before you sleep. When you go out, come back and wash, strip the oil. I remember doing all those things. But guess what? The acne increased. And on my clearest day, I still had black spots. My wife was looking at me the other day and said, Tola, look how fresh you are right now. And I'm not using one product right now anymore. Not one. I use my regular face, my regular soap to wash my face. Regular, the one I still use for my body. Something I was told never to do when I was following a particular regiment. I had to take my attention away from that appearance. God, what do you want me to do? When you focus on what God wants you to do, He adds those things that you desire in the right perspective, in the right light, with the right blessing. Someone needs to listen to this today. Fulfillment comes from surrender to God. A sense of achievement is a sense of knowing you are doing what the Master wants you to do, not getting what you want. Because when you chase after what you want, what you get would be a poor expression, not the real expression. You will turn rods to snakes that will be consumed by the real snake. I need someone to understand this. I try to get into the understanding of this each and every day. Sometimes I get into that mindset too. God, I need money. God, I need money. So I'm thinking, what's the strategy? How do I get money? How do I get? Then I start listening to stuff, how to get money, how to invest, how to save, how to spend, how to do this, how to put aside, how to do this. And God is saying, you've missed it all. Just focus on me. What do I want of you for now? And watch me give you money that truly satisfies. Sometimes money that truly satisfies is not a large amount. I know so many people, they earn large salaries, but they still feel unsatisfied with their lives. They still feel money is not enough. They still are scared to spend. They still go and borrow from people that earn less. It is not the volume of the money or the amount of the money that makes it satisfactory. It is not. It is the God's hand upon the money that makes it sufficient, that makes it satisfactory, that makes it peaceful, that makes it stretch. You can earn a lot of money, but once you earn it, pigeons come around and they eat every single thing. And you cannot point to the evidence of this large salary that you get every single month. It is God that blesses your finances. That when you buy things that last. Some people spend so much money and they earn so much money, but they spend it on things that get destroyed easily. They can't explain why. They can't explain why. I have this inverter in my house. And we bought it at a point, at the time we were having power outage. We didn't have a lot of money. But then God provided. And we bought this inverter. This inverter has been with us for the past 8 to 9 years right now. 8 to 9 years, we've never changed it, that very inverter. Because it came from the blessing of God. We've never changed it, the inverter. We changed battery, but the inverter has never changed. I've had people, they bought the inverter after we bought our own. They've changed it almost 2-3 times. That's what you call the blessing of God on your resources. It's satisfying. But it doesn't come by chasing the thing. It comes by following the master. Someone needs to listen to this today. You are a young woman. You are so fixated on getting a man, a husband. So everything you put your mind around is positioning for a husband. I'm not saying it's bad to plan, it's bad. No, I'm not saying that. But above that, he's waking up every morning and saying, God, what do you desire of me? And watch God in his wisdom through what he desires of you, begin to prune you, your dressing, your positioning, the way you wear your hair, everything begins to get pruned. And then you become the person that God truly desires. And the husband comes and desires you. You want a child. I want a child. I want a child. I want a child. You're going through different processes. I'm not saying those processes are not right. But when that desire becomes the focus, and like we don't have time for God right now. Remember what we are doing right now? Processes. You are talking to too many people. I'm not talking to the one person. One friend will give you one advice. One doctor will give you another advice. One social media influencer will give you one advice. Strategies to getting a child. And God is saying, just seek me. Just seek me and watch through my process how this takes you through the path of having your own children. Just seek me. Seek me. Someone needs to hear this today. Tonight, there's only one desire we should have, even though we are tempted to have a lot. The true desire we should have is to know the desire of the Master. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and this is the TA Podcast.